Maddie, we'll go ahead and get started. On behalf of myself, Andrew, as well as the City of Newnan staff, first of all, thank you guys for your participation in this year's parade. Secondly, thank you for coming tonight. We feel like the safety meeting is important, even though if you've been with us for years in the past, there are some new elements sometimes that we introduce each year. Andrew does have some things that he's going to go over that are kind of new from last year's parade. But we just basically want to be able to communicate as much as we possibly can to everybody that's going to be there. Those who have been with us in the past know that it is very crowded, very busy, very big. So we want to make sure that we communicate as much as we can, all of the information that we have for mainly to help it run smooth, but secondly, and also importantly for safety reasons. Again, thank you guys so much for being here tonight. We will depend on you guys to kind of disperse this information to your organizations. There is going to be a QR code at the end of this presentation slide for you guys to have, take a picture of, that will have the parade documents and everything that you have in your hand too as well. Hopefully you can email that to your organization, parents, and help us help you. So we'll go ahead and get started. You can go ahead with the next slide. So, as you all know, there is only one Santa Claus. That is something that we feel like is important. We do provide that. You are able to have any type of decoration. So it's not necessarily no Santa Claus, but just no live Santa Claus. So we want to be able to provide that, kind of keep the Christmas spirit and magic alive for the kids. So if you have a Grinch, that's fine, but no human being Santa Claus, okay? All right, next slide. If you have a vehicle, motorcycle, or a flute, it does have to have some form or fashion of decoration. So we just don't want anything plain. We want to keep, the theme for the parade. So make sure that you just have some sort of lights, decorations, ornaments. Music played by participants must be seasonal, may not contain inappropriate language. Signage on the vehicles or floats may not contain inappropriate language. I use this picture because we all know the slogan. Next slide. Parade participants shall not carry firearms or any other weapons, or bricks, bats, sticks, rocks, bottles, or any other item that can be used as weapons. No pressurized gas or air guns, t-shirts, or the t-shirt guns. And as all, we've got to stay sober and safe, so we shall not consume any type of alcoholic beverage or be under the influence of any intoxicant. I try to make this a little bit more fun. All right, next slide. Once started, the parade will not stop along the parade route. The parade shall continue to move at a fixed rate of speed, and any willful delay or stopping of such parade, except obviously for safety reasons, will basically be a violation of these rules and will be grounds for removals. I'm not picking on a dance parade, but if you are a part of a dance organization, you're more than welcome to use a routine. Just make sure that you're, walking and not stopping. All right, next slide. This is very, very, very important. At 5 p.m., 5 o'clock, 5:01, 5:05, 5:10, we are not accepting any more participants or entrances, okay, guys? It is a hard closure because basically what we're doing is we're now focusing and shifting our staff to the front of the parking lot and getting everybody ready to go at 6 o'clock. So that is very prompt. I would advise your organization and group to arrive before 4:30. Just to make sure that everybody is in the parking lot or the staging areas or walking group areas before 5 o'clock. Once started, we will not accept any more participants into the parade or into the loading areas. And obviously, no political signs, slogan speech, rallies shall be conducted in the public street or along the sidewalks of the city during the event. All right, next slide. This is also important. No items, including candy, shall be thrown from the vehicles or any type of moving vehicle. Or if you're walking, no throwing. You can hand out any brochures, pens, goodies that you may have for the public, any type of advertisement, but make sure that you're handing it out and not throwing it. All right, next. If you have animals, make sure that the waste is properly disposed and secured. So that way it ensures that the streets are clean and that your animals are safe and our participants are safe as well. Next slide. This is also important that we are not allowing anyone to ride or stand on the roof or the hood of moving vehicles. It's pretty self-explanatory. All right, next. So this is basically if you're wanting to be judged, if you have opted into being judged, you want to kind of follow along this closely. Again, floats must be in line and completely decorated if you are getting judged no later than 4. We will begin the judging part of the floats at 4 p.m. You should consider the theme of this year Christmas classics. The float may creatively feature any variation of the theme Christmas classics. Music must reflect the holiday season and Christmas. Floats shall be judged according to the registration application, meaning you can't, after the parade meeting, say, hey, we want to be judged. Everything has been finalized by the deadline, so we cannot have anybody else change their mind on that. The winning float. So this year, guys, we're going to have an award ribbon to place on the float during for recognition during the parade. Afterwards, the next week, if you can come and return those ribbons, that way we can use them again for the following year, and you'll get your certificate. But we will have nice big, the big ribbons that you see in our advertisements, like Christmas presents or birthdays or whatever. We're going to have those where you can put on your float and be recognized during the parade. The People's Choice Award will be shared with the winning entrant the following week on the city's webpage as well as social media platforms. All right, next slide. So this is where I'm going to hand the microphone over to Andrew. He is kind of the logistics portion of this parade. And again, we'll take any type of questions after the presentation.
If we can go to the next slide, we'll take a look at this first one now. So this first is the accessibility drop-off zone. So after last year's parade, we did have some questions that were raised about getting participants that needed some accessibility services closer to where the floats are located and to the walking group staging area. So we are providing an accessibility drop-off zone. It's in the back of the University of West Georgia. So there is a loop that runs behind the campus as well as the gate. You're going to proceed in, preferably through Clark Street, onto Carmichael, and then use that loop, go onto Cavender Street, and then exit back out down Carmichael towards Clark. And that is if you're intending to drop off and leave. You also have the opportunity to, in these orange squares, park your vehicle while parking is available. Just please note that parking is limited. We do have a lot of participants this year, probably more than we've had in years past. So just be aware of that when you're considering what time you plan to arrive. Next slide, please. So the float staging area is going to remain the same. So we're asking for this being this float vehicle specifically. So when you enter, you can enter off of Clark or you can enter off of Elm, but you're going to be going into the bottom entrance of the Pat Clinic parking lot. So you pull in, and when you go in there, just wait. You'll check in there, wait for staff to give you direction on who to pull up to, and then we will guide you into your staging spot, and you can further decorate from there. Next slide. So this is more geared towards our larger walking groups. We do have several of those this year. So if you are a member of one of these groups that does have a large number of participants, please be aware that this is where we are intending for you to be staged during the day. There will be some cones with some signs on them and have your name on it. Look for that and just stay in that general area. Next slide, please. The marching band staging, this will apply specifically to the marching bands. They're going to follow where the accessibility drop-off zone is, and then they're going to move into their zones. Next slide. Support vehicle parking. This is an incredibly important aspect of this. So support vehicle, what does that mean? Generally, this is the people that are coming in with the materials and supplies that are going to decorate the float in the staging lot, or carrying people that intend to ride on the float. So when you come in, please ensure that you are parking in the lots behind the University of West Georgia or at the Maggie Brown School. This is where we're going to centralize. Please do not attempt to park into the float staging area. We have had some issues in the past We're trying to get you all centralized in one location to make it easy. I know that you do have to walk a bit of a distance, but you do have access to that loop too. If you need to get a little closer, then you can pull around again and park. Next slide. Here's the QR code. These are available on the city's website. If you want to take a picture of these maps, please feel free to do so. Take a picture of this QR code. We're here to answer any kind of questions that you may have about any of this stuff. Yes.
Before we get started with the questions, I do have one thing I didn't want to forget to mention. The parking lot does open at 10 in the morning. I don't know if I couldn't hear if you said that or not, but it does open at 10 o'clock that morning. And then, for those who want to be able to decorate and not have to worry about things falling off on the way over there, we will be able to open that at 10 o'clock in the morning. And then you've got until, 4:59 to get everything ready to go. When it comes to the staging area, if you've got generators or anything heavy, just make sure that that is on your float. That way you're not having to have anybody in your organization carry anything heavy. So it's up to you guys and how, you want to get the big items and the heavy items into that parking lot. All right. And I guess we'll open it up for questions. Hands? Okay. I'll be right there. I'm going to hand the microphone down.
Thank you. Last year we came in with a large front-end wheel loader and they asked us to park on the upper part of the hill on Elm, the corner of Elm and Jackson. It actually worked out great and they had the larger floats parking along there. Is that going to be repeated this year?
Yes, we're going to keep that consistent. So there are several semi-truck entries this year, so we're going to intend to keep that the same. We're going to park everybody that's over a certain size on Elm Street until the space runs out. Then at that point, we're kind of going to have to figure it out where we're going to go, because we did almost hit Elm Street on Elementary last year. So it was quite long last year.
Yeah, great, thanks.
At the end of the parade, are we dropping people off or are we able to take them back? What's the plan with that? So we make sure we get everybody in a safe spot.
Sure. So walking groups are going to offload into Greenville Street Park. At that point, you can disperse however you need to. The marching bands and some of the large groups intend to go over to the Justice Center. So if you'd like to have a pickup vehicle located there, you can do that. And then after that, you're more than welcome to circle back to the original staging lots. Just note that there are going to be street closures, so you're going to need to use back roads to get there.
Any other questions? Okay, up toward the front.
So last year we was on the Am Street area as well, but the judges said you forgot that line. We're gonna make sure we all look at this year, please.
Yes, we're going to ensure that the judges we're going to make the judge's job a little easier this year. So one additional change that we've made is that when you arrive for check-in, your vehicles are going to receive a hang tag that's going to go into your rear view mirror. They're color coded. So I believe it's red tags, they're all green tags, but some of them have red lettering, some have black lettering. Depending on what color lettering you get is what you indicated on your registration when you apply for the parade. So if you intended to be judged to receive one color, then the elves are going to know that. They're going to be able to judge accordingly based on that. So we have put some measures in place to hopefully curb that. We're also going to have enough city staff this year volunteering to kind of aid and help them walk around. So we should be able to adjust accordingly.
All right, got another question over here.
Okay, so I have a convertible. My daughter is in the Cowboy County team. So we're not going to do like a crazy float. Any suggestions where we would need to park or for just a convertible?
You go ahead and pull it in the staging lot. We'll be able to accommodate everything, including single vehicles. If you do not intend to have a trailer, or you don't have a vehicle over a certain size, that's fine. Go ahead. If it's a vehicle of any kind, please pull it into the staging lot.
Before we get another question, if you do have a large group, you've got multiple motorcycles, Jeeps, just make sure that you guys are together when you check in, because it will be impossible once the parking lot gets full for us to be able to get you to your organization. So just make sure that before you do check in, that everybody is together.
Okay, this is my first year.
Where, just logistically, where do the people park? Like, I know there's not just huge parking lots everywhere around Newnan, so I was kind of to get on a float for my business. Where am I to go then to go park? Is it, do I just park along the streets out in the neighborhood?
Can we go back like 3 slides? One more. One more. Okay, so these orange squares that you see here, these parking lots are quite expansive. These are specifically designated for parade participants. So this is where we want you to park, whether you're riding on a float or you're walking in a walking parade. As far as, you can park anywhere. You can park downtown and you can walk to the lot. It's completely up to you, however you want to do it. But these parking lots here are specifically designated for that. The one that's in the front on Jackson Street is completely closed off. No vehicles will be able to park in that because we do use that for standing groups. So that will be occupied by people. So please park in the rear side of West Georgia along Carmichael Street.
Okay, any other questions?
Back here?
If the lot opens at 10 and we park our vehicle at 12 and we can't stay, is it gonna be messed with? Are there people?
We have city staff there all day long that are able to observe what's going on in the parking lot. So no, we've had people in the past that have got their vehicle there, got it decorated and walked away, and it's been perfectly fine. So yes, you should.
Just kind of touching on the city staff to make who's identifiable. We will be having red hats on as well as vests, so that way you can identify who is assisting in the parade. Okay, over here.
And then Lori, we got 2 more up here in the front.
Excuse me, I understand the 5 o'clock cutoff for the floats. If we have some walkers that arrive past that 5 o'clock, are they still going to be allowed to join the group, or is that a hard shut off at the block?
As long as they are checked in by 5, so if they're joining a float that's in the staging lot, and that float is checked in by 5 o'clock, the walkers are fine to show up. In fact, some of our large groups, we've instructed them to show up around 5:15. That way they're not having to stand all day long, and then they can come in one large group. So that is okay. But as long as the primary vehicle for the float is there before 5.
Yes, sir. We have a parade afloat with speakers and camp and everything. Typically, we have, over the years, dismantled that float on near the high school by the armory. Is that still going to be available? That's where we've always done it before.
I might reserve that for PD. Do you have any insight on that by chance? I don't know if that would be appropriate or not.
If you want to continue on to the high school, that would be perfectly fine. But what we do ask is, once you get past the long place, if you're intending on going to high school or disembark or take anything off your float or whatever the case may be, please keep LaGrange Street flowing. Because once you stop, then everything will start clogging back up downtown. So once you commit to the high school, we ask that you please commit to the high school. Yes, use Army Road or Senior Lot, however you need to get disembarked, but please keep LaGrange Street flowing.
Thank you.
Green, on that point, Greenville will be blocked all the way to the Justice Center.
It won't be blocked. I mean, we will
Okay.
But yes, everybody needs to get to the Justice Center, walk through the park, assist us. We will stop traffic. We need to get those
People and floats.
close.
We repeat the question one more time. I'm sorry.
On the disembarking question related to going down the high school in Grange, you mentioned that the Justice Center is to be used for that as well. So the question now is for people and for floats. So floats may continue on over to Greenville and to the Justice Center.
So we'll clarify on the turning points a little bit. So walking groups, if you can visualize where LaGrange and Southeast is, The walking groups are gonna go towards South Beatty and go into the Green Street Park. Floats are gonna continue down the Green Street. We'd prefer if you're gonna intend to go back to the Justice Center, you're gonna need to go down to the high school and then come back up Sewell.
Okay.
And then back up to be able to get there, because we don't want you turning to South Beatty because it's gonna cost too much to back up.
High school it is. Good.
I'm just wanting to confirm that we do meet at PAC Clinic for a float lineup. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, I have 2 additional questions. Are props allowed on the roof and hood of vehicles?
I believe so, as long as they are secured properly.
And are Santa hats permitted?
I think we have determined that Santa hats would be fine. We just know full-on likeness of Santa, so nobody wearing a full red suit hat would be good.
Okay, thank you so much.
Any other hands?
So you said there's no turning at South Beatty, so once we over the bridge, will we be able to make that left towards the Justice Center, or do we have to go all the way to the high school?
So vehicles are gonna have to go all the way to the high school. The walking groups specifically can turn at South Beatty, enter into Greenville Street Park, and they can go to the Justice Center in a more direct route.
Right.
The vehicles are the ones that are gonna have to go basically all the way down to the high school, turn on Armory, then on the Sewell, and come back up 27.
So there will be no other turns once you make over the bridge?
Correct. Once you hit that bridge on that vehicle, keep going to the high school.
So, stupid question, just kind of following up on the Santa hat thing. What if you're an older white guy with a beard? Can you wear a Santa hat?
You can wear a Santa hat, but you gotta beat the rules a little bit. It's clever.
Do you have to shave? I mean,
I think you should dye your beard. I think you should dye your beard. Keep it.
okay, just checking. I got several old fellas in the club that might not be able to join. Okay, just checking.
Am I missing anybody?
And you're
Going once?
the line of location, you said the clinic.
I'm gonna come over there real quick.
Can you repeat the lineup location? She said the clinic or something?
Yes, so that unused clinic used to be the PAP clinic. That is the location that we're gonna go in. So the entrance for vehicles, the float staging vehicles is gonna be off of Elm Street. Support vehicles, you're gonna park off of Harmon. Just note too, that portions of Cavender are still open, and Lee King is also open that day too. So please be mindful of their business as well, and do not use their parking lot for parade purposes. And that goes the same for Dunks. Dunks also is not an appropriate drop-off location.
Any other questions down there? Going once? Twice? Sold.
Yeah, we have that too. That's a good point, right? There are going to be directional signs. So please, when you're driving down the street, if you forget some of the information we said tonight, please look for signs sitting on the side of the road. There's going to be some that say parade float entry with an arrow pointing where to go. Also with a disclaimer at the bottom that says line up ends at 5 p.m. There's walking group drop off, accessibility drop off, support vehicle drop off. All these signs will be purposefully placed around the zone for you to see it. If you happen to miss a turn, look for the next one. It's going to tell you exactly where to go next. So just be on the lookout for those. They're nice and big. They should be plenty visible.
And if everybody has to stay on,
That's right. That's right.
thank you.
All right, guys, again, thank you so much for your time, especially coming after work. And if there are additional questions or anything like that, feel free to call, email, and we greatly appreciate your participation. Be sure to dress warm. It is definitely going to be a cold day. Thank you, guys. We'll see you Saturday.